Detroit, 1975. A white mother named Mary screamed at Muhammad Ali to get away from her dying son's hospital bed. Security was called. The cameras weren't rolling. What Ali did next stayed hidden for 20 years until Mary's final breath revealed a secret that changed everything. Subscribe for stories like this, and like the video. It was a cold February morning in 1975 when Muhammad Ali walked into Detroit Children's Hospital. He wasn't there for publicity. No cameras, no reporters, no entourage. Just Ali, his driver, waiting in the car, and a bag full of small boxing gloves he'd bought at a sporting goods store on the way over. Ali had been doing hospital visits since he was 22 years old. Something about sick children broke through his famous confidence and touched a part of him that the world rarely saw. The vulnerable part. The part that understood suffering in ways that championship belts could never protect against. The pediatric cancer ward was on the 4th floor. Ali took the stairs. Never the elevator. Keeps me in shape, he'd tell anyone who asked. But the truth was simpler and more human. The stairs gave him a few extra minutes to prepare himself emotionally for what he was about to see. Children who should have been playing baseball and riding bikes. Children lying in hospital beds fighting battles no child should ever have to fight. Room 412. That's where everything changed. The door was slightly open. Ali could hear the steady beep of machines inside, the hum of medical equipment, the sound of someone breathing with difficulty. He knocked gently on the doorframe, pushed the door wider, and stepped inside with that famous Ali smile. "Surprise," he said softly, his voice carrying that familiar playful tone. There was a boy in the bed. Maybe 8 years old, maybe younger. Cancer has a way of making children look smaller than they are. Completely bald from chemotherapy. His skin had that pale, translucent quality that comes from spending too much time indoors, away from sunlight, away from the life he should have been living. The boy's eyes went wide. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. He was trying to process what he was seeing. Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer in the world. The man he'd seen on television, standing right here in his hospital room, sitting in a chair beside the bed, was a woman, mid-30s, though she looked older. Blonde hair pulled back tight in a ponytail. Her face was lined with exhaustion and something else, something harder. Her eyes were red, but not from crying. From anger that had been building for so long it had replaced tears entirely. This was Mary Patterson. And she was about to do something that would haunt her for 20 years. "What are you doing here?" Mary's voice cut through the room like broken glass. Ali's smile faltered slightly, but didn't disappear. He'd dealt with hostile people before. Usually it was about Vietnam, about his refusal to fight in the war, about his conversion to Islam. He was used to it. "Ma'am, I'm just here to visit with your son. Brought him a little gift. I don't want you here." Mary stood up abruptly. The chair scraped against the floor. Her hands were shaking. "I want you to leave, right now." The boy in the bed looked confused. Scared. He'd just seen Muhammad Ali walk into his room, the greatest thing that had happened to him in months, and now his mother was yelling at him to leave. Ali stayed calm. He'd been in hostile situations before. "Ma'am, I understand you might not agree with some things I've done, but this isn't about me, it's about your son. I just want to spend a few minutes with him. Make him smile." Mary's voice rose, cracking with emotion. She was crying now, not soft tears. Angry tears. "You want to make him smile? My son is dying, Mr. Ali. Dying. And you think showing up here with your boxing gloves and your famous smile is going to fix that?" Something in Ali's expression changed. The playful confidence that he wore like armor was gone. "No, ma'am," Ali said quietly. "I don't think I can fix anything. I know I can't. But sometimes when kids are going through something this hard, having someone visit, having someone care enough to show up, it helps. Not with the cancer, but with the loneliness of it." Mary wasn't listening. Or maybe she was listening but couldn't hear through the rage and grief that had been building for months. "Get out," she said, her voice shaking. "I don't want my son seeing someone like you. Someone who refused to serve his country. You're not a hero. You're a coward. And I want you out of this room right now." The word hung in the air. Coward. Ali had been called that word 1,000 times. In newspapers. On television. By strangers. It should have bounced off him by now. But somehow, standing in this hospital room looking at this dying child and his devastated mother, the word hit differently. The boy in the bed started crying. Not loud sobs. "Mom," the boy whispered. "It's Muhammad Ali. He came to see me. I don't care who he is, Tommy." Mary opened the door wider. He's leaving. What happened next would become the most misunderstood moment of Muhammad Ali's life. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He just looked at the boy. "Tommy," and said, "You keep fighting, champ. You're braver than any fighter I ever met." Then he placed the bag of boxing gloves on the table by the door and walked out. In the hallway, a nurse named Dorothy had witnessed everything. She'd been about to enter with medication when she heard Mary yelling, "Mr. Ali." Dorothy called after him. "I'm so sorry. She's been here for 3 months. The cancer is stage 4, maybe 2 weeks left. She's not herself." Ali stopped. Turned around. His eyes were wet. "What's the boy's name?" "Tommy. Tommy Patterson." "And the mother?" "Mary Patterson. She's a widow." "Tommy's father died in Vietnam 2 years ago. She's alone." Ali nodded, slowly. Now it made sense. Mary's husband died in the war. Ali refused to fight, and now her son was dying too. "Dorothy," Ali said quietly. "I need you to do me a favor. Keep it between us. What happened next stayed secret for 20 years. Ali didn't go back to Tommy's room, but he called the hospital every day, sometimes twice. Asked about Tommy's condition, whether he was comfortable, and then Ali did something extraordinary. He paid Tommy's medical bills. All of them. The experimental treatment insurance wouldn't cover. $47,000. Massive in 1975. Ali paid it all. Anonymously, the hospital told Mary a charitable foundation covered it. They didn't mention Ali's name, but Ali wasn't finished. He found out Mary was behind on rent. About to be evicted, he paid 6 months advance. Anonymously, her car had broken down. She was taking 3 buses to the hospital. Ali bought her a car. A simple Ford, registered in the hospital's name. Dorothy watched it happen. She was the only one who knew. "Why don't you want her to know?" Dorothy asked. "Because knowing it's from me would make her feel worse." Ali said, "She needs to believe the world is helping her. Not the man she thinks killed her husband." Tommy Patterson died February 28, 1975. 14 days after Ali was thrown out. Ali didn't attend the funeral. He sent flowers. Anonymously. Mary buried her son next to her husband. Everything she'd loved, gone. For years, Mary lived with what she'd done. Replayed that moment thousands of times. Muhammad Ali had come to visit her dying son, and she'd thrown him out, called him a coward. She told herself she'd been right. But late at night in the apartment she didn't know Ali saved, driving the car she didn't know Ali gave her, Mary would think about Tommy's face when Ali walked in. The joy, and she'd wonder if she'd made a mistake. 20 years passed. 1995. Mary Patterson was 56 and dying. Lung cancer. The same disease that took her son. Same hospital. Dorothy still worked there. Head nurse now. Dorothy visited Mary's room one November afternoon. "Mary," Dorothy said, "I need to tell you something. Something I've kept secret for 20 years. Mary was weak. Voice barely a whisper. "What?" "The foundation that paid Tommy's bills. The person who paid your rent, who gave you that car. It wasn't a foundation." Mary's eyes focused. "It was Muhammad Ali." For a long moment, Mary didn't speak. Then she started crying. Deep, choking sobs. "No," she whispered. "That's not possible. I watched it happen," Dorothy said. "He called every day, asked about Tommy. Paid every bill, and he made me promise not to tell you." "Why?" "Because he knew if you found out it was him, it would hurt more than help." Mary closed her eyes. 20 years of rage and grief and shame crashed over her. "I called him a coward," she said. "I threw him out of Tommy's room, the only thing Tommy wanted, and I took it away." "You were in pain," Dorothy said. Ali understood. "No." Mary shook her head. "Pain isn't an excuse. I was cruel, and he responded by saving my life. 20 years I spent hating him." Dorothy held Mary's hand. "It's not too late. He's still alive. You could tell him." Mary tried to speak, but couldn't. The cancer had taken her voice. She gestured for paper and pen. With shaking hands, Mary wrote, "Tell him I'm sorry." She died 3 days later. Dorothy kept her promise. She called Ali's office, explained who she was, reminded him of Tommy, told him Mary's final words. Ali was 53 now. Parkinson's had stolen his grace. His hands trembled. His speech slow. But when Dorothy finished, Ali's response was clear. She has nothing to apologize for. Mary Patterson has nothing to apologize for. She's already gone, Mr. Ali. Long silence. Then Ali said something Dorothy would remember forever. "Good people sometimes do cruel things when they're drowning in pain. That doesn't make them bad people. It makes them human." Mary was a good mother who lost everything. If being angry at me helped her survive one more day, then I'm glad I could give her that. Dorothy hung up and cried. The story stayed secret until 2000, when Dorothy retired and wrote a memoir about her years in pediatric oncology. One chapter about Muhammad Ali and Mary Patterson, about grace, about forgiveness given freely. When reporters called Ali, his wife, Lonnie, spoke for him. Muhammad didn't help Mary, so he'd be thanked. He helped because Tommy was suffering and Mary was drowning. That's all that mattered. The reporter pushed. "But your husband could have defended himself that day." "Why didn't he?" Lonnie was quiet. Because Mary wasn't crying out for an explanation. She was crying out in pain. And Muhammad has always known the difference. Today there's a plaque at Detroit Children's Hospital. Room 412, in memory of Tommy Patterson. The greatest strength is not in fighting back, but in lifting others up. Most people don't know what it means, but Dorothy knows. Tommy's family knows. And now you know. Mary Patterson spent 20 years hating Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali spent 20 years quietly saving her life. That's not just forgiveness. That's understanding that hurt people hurt people. Muhammad Ali was called the greatest boxer of all time, but his greatest victories happened outside the ring, in hospital rooms, in quiet acts no one knew about. That's where greatness lives. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe and like button.